My goodness. Oh my goodness. This is awesome. I think this is up more my style. I'm Matthew Horkey. For the last 7 years, I've traveled around the world tasting thousands of wines annually in search of the most unique, exciting, and expensive bottles on the planet. So in today's face-off, we're pitting two great wines from two great vintages. Perfect vintage is when you have great growing conditions to create great grapes, great raw material that will ultimately turn into great wine. 2019 reds are starting to hit the market and throughout Europe. I think it is a great vintage. All the 2019s I've tasted everywhere from Portugal to Bordeaux to Italy have been stellar. I have right here two regions that can produce quite similar red wines. I've never tasted them against each other blind, so I think this is going to be really interesting. First up, we have a great producer from Chianti Classico. Castello d'Ama is one of the premium properties to know in Chianti Classico. It's located near the village of Gaioli, right in the heart of Tuscany. This is only the second vintage of this wine, Montebuoni. It's a single vineyard wine. It's primarily Sangiovese, but there's a splash of Merlot thrown in there, which I'm okay with. It's also classified as a Chianti Classico Riserva, which technically means there are better grapes in the wine, and it's aged for a little bit longer before being released. I prefer Sangioveses with more red fruit flavors. I always think of Castello d'Ama to have a little bit more darker fruit. Next up, we have the Prats&Symington Chryseia 2019. Prats&Symington is a joint venture between Bruno Prats, who used to own the famous Costa Estornel in Bordeaux, and the Symington Empire in the Douro, Portugal. I think the Symingtons own like 60% of the Douro Valley. It's really crazy. The Chryseia is made primarily of Touriga Nacional and Touriga Franca. To me, historically, this wine tastes a lot like the Douro, but has the suave tannins, the structure of Great Bordeaux, and it always ages really well. The Douro is one of the most spectacular regions in the world, in my opinion. Yes, it's the home of port wine, but there are great dry wines being made there too, of really, really unique varieties. Primarily, the grapes that are really known are Touriga Nacional, Touriga Franca, Tinta Rores, which is Tempranillo, Tinta Chao, and a slew of other varieties. Chianti Classico, on the other hand, it's all about Sangiovese in the heart of Tuscany. You have Chianti, which is a larger area within Tuscany. Then you have Chianti Classico, that's right in the heart. Chianti Classicos tend to be regarded as more serious wines. For me, some of the best value for money in terms of serious fine wines in the world. There are also wines that just tug at my heart. Both of these regions can produce dry red wines that, even though they can be a little bit bigger, they have tannin, they still have a little more red fruit flavors, they still have nice acidity. The Prats&Symington Chryseia comes in around $70 in the US, so it's not a cheap wine. I know it's expensive. And the Montebuoni comes in around $40. So these are both regions, the Douro and Chianti Classico, where I think when you start to step into the $30 to $50 range or even higher, you can get serious wines, and you're getting a lot of value for money in that price point. I guess we'll see in the blind tasting. It's all what matters what's in the glass. And speaking of, I'm using the Gabriel Glas Universal Glass. This is my favorite glass. I also have the gold editions, which are hand blown, a little bit thinner. I tend to use the Standart ones, these ones a little bit more because they're a little sturdier. I'll leave a link in the description box below. If you purchase them through the link, it really helps the channel out a lot. Okay, I had somebody bag these up, change the order around, so I don't know. I know these wines are super young, but this is what's on the market now. This is how people are going to get them. These are wines generally that can be enjoyed, but need to be aged for a little bit. However, in 2019, I found in both these regions the wines to be pretty approachable. Let's start with the one on the left here. I'm going to try not to look at color because I forgot about this. Sangiovese is going to be a lot lighter in color generally. Maybe this is going to be a little bit easier than I thought, because this smells like Sangiovese. It smells like sour cherry, sour plum, fall leaves. It just smells exactly like the Sangiovese that I know, I love, I want. It's so funny because this single vineyard wine smells a lot more delicate. The regular Castello d'Ama Chianti Classico, that's the entry level wine, it tends to be a little bit darker, a little bit bigger. This is like more delicate. It smells really fine. Sangiovese, my goodness. This is just a beautiful wine. 2019 Chianti Classico, I say buy up everything you can. It's got enough fruit up front. The tannins are still around. They don't make your mouth feel too astringent, too dry. You know, some people, especially new wine drinkers, tend to find that drying sensation, that astringency to be too much. Granted, these are wines that are meant to be had with food. Just flat out beautiful wine. My goodness. Oh my goodness. This is awesome. I think this is up more my style. Not a huge monster, not super full body, more medium body. Let's go to the one here on the right. I think this, I would bet my life that this is Chianti Classico. Let's see here on the right. I thought this honestly would be a little bit closer. This obviously, it's got some red fruit flavors, but it's a little bit darker, more black cherry, black plum, like hickory, leather. This is going to be more for the big and bold. I think most people that watch the show generally going to like this style. Me, I prefer this style a little bit more. This is some serious wine though. Oh, just serious. Wood integration's perfect. Just the right amount of oak. You know that the wine's been oaked if you've been trained, if you have experience with wine, but it's not too oaky. Oh, full body. Not as massive as I would expect, but definitely more tannins. Okay, I have no doubt. I think that this is more tannic, definitely. I think this is the wine from the Douro, the red Douro. This wine overpowers this wine. This wine I think is going to score higher with critics. It might be the one that ages the longest, but this is more my style. Should we reveal them? Should we open them up? I think this is Chianti Classico here on the left. Let's see. It is the Castello di Montebuoni Chianti Classico Riserva 2019. Outstanding wine. For 35, 40 bucks generally. I've seen it as low as 35. I think this is killer wine at that price point. I Corvin this. I'd like to lay it down a little bit more, but maybe end up drinking it tonight because it's so good. That means that this is the Prats&Symington Chryseia 2019. You know, it's so funny. It smelled a lot bigger than it actually was on the palate. I think this is the type of wine that's going to get critic scores in the 94 point range, maybe 94. It's super serious wine. For me, I would even maybe put this a tad higher just for my palate personally because I like this style, but I think a lot of you are going to gravitate towards this. I don't know. So tell me, do you like Chianti Classico? Do you like the red wines from the Douro? Do you have any favorite producers? Did you guess right when you were guessing along with me? Drop it in the comments below and let me know if you like this series. Thanks a lot. I'll see you soon.